these same people seem to forget that mother also took a lot of chances with the type of roles she played. Mammals are very close to us, but bugs are strange. They're more mysterious and exotic. Women who stay true to themselves are always more interesting and beautiful to me. Women like Frida Kahlo, Georgia O'Keeffe, and Anna Magnani. Women who have style, chic, allure, and elegance. They didn't submit to any standard of beauty. They defined it. I started modeling at 28. I'm 5'7.5", and I never went on a diet. I followed what my doctor told me. It's good to have a little bit of fat. Your weight is fine. Don't go any lighter. I am much more radical in my beliefs than my products represent me to be. I grew up in a family of filmmakers, so I always wanted to make films about animals, especially comical films. Something about animals amuses me, and they have a great mystery. It's the same mystique some people might feel looking at the stars or the ocean. Ever since I was a little girl, I have always loved animals and been fascinated with them. In America, they are paranoid about ruining the reputations of people once they are dead and cannot answer back. They have this fascination which to me seems cruel and morbid. I do not want any part of it. Most people divorce because one in the couple falls in love with someone else. It's a common cause of divorce. I still think that it's tinted, this is my opinion, with a veil of racism and American Puritanism. If you look at most beauty advertisements, you would think that makeup is only for beautiful women in their early 20s. Animals are everywhere. Some are more romantic, like tigers and elephants and chimpanzees, and some are less romantic, like earthworms. But they are just as interesting. There are so many spiders, and their rituals, their mating rituals, their courtship ritual can be very, very different. I am now at an age when they wanted me to play her mother. When I grew up, we always had our chickens, and we ate our eggs, and we ate our chickens. The family always had a pig, and we would kill it at Christmas and eat it for 3 or 4 months afterwards. I was born with a love of animals the same way I was born with brown hair. When I was a little girl in Rome, I always had pets, which I adored. I grew up in Italy, and our country is a country of great agriculture and food produce. It wasn't like I was urban and only knew about high-heeled shoes and purses, and never knew where my eggs came from. Although Dorothy in Blue Velvet was humiliated and hurt by men, basically I could react to how she felt. I didn't want to become an actress because the competition with my mother would have been too much to live up to. There's this idea that you have to play heroines or women who succeed. If we are completely honest with ourselves, everyone has a dark side to their personalities. One of the great issues in biology is the origin of altruism, of why you would do something for someone else that could hurt you, and Darwin posited that it might be rooted in maternal instinct, in sacrificing yourself for your children. When I grew up in Italy in the 1950s, it was still very agricultural. Food was very important. Produce was very important. Everyone made their own olive oil. It took me a long time after I moved here to understand that Americans are much further away from their food. I live my everyday life as a person, and I react to my photos from a certain distance. When I look at a photo, I detach myself and look at it as a product, not as me, Isabella. I don't wear much makeup, except during work. I felt lucky to be chosen to be a model. I used to joke, the next best thing to winning the lottery is having a beauty contract. I'm always a little worried when people have met me in person because I'm worried they'll be disappointed. It always amazed me that people believed I was this beautiful object. You don't do an experimental film to become rich, so the people who are involved because they enjoy the creative aspect of it. I have the most fun writing and directing, and I always choose myself as the lead actor. I seldom look at myself to avoid any self-criticism. Animation translates well to a small screen. When you look at Walt Disney or Chuck Jones, you know Bugs Bunny. There really isn't any difference if you watch on a very big screen or a computer screen. I loved modeling. I absolutely loved it. I was so happy to get the cover of Vogue 23 times. I keep each copy. I made more money as a model than as an actress or as a filmmaker. In monetary terms, beauty pays more than anything. I always dreamed when I was a little girl interested in animals that I would go live in Africa. Then I found out that you can look in your backyard and you can do your own safari. I graduated from Academy of Fashion and Costume Design in Rome. At first, I thought I was going to be a costume designer for films, and then I ended up working in fashion, not as a designer, but mostly as a model. As I grew older, I worked less as an actor and as a model, and I went back to what I had tried to do when I was young, but wasn't really available. I'm so glad now to be in my 60s and to be able to go back to school. Every time you work, it's a new film. And generally when you work with auteurs, people that write and direct their films, there's always an originality. Food is a big part of my culture, so everyone knows how to cook. When I came to America and asked a babysitter to soft boil an egg for my son and she didn't know how, I was shocked. My father's films are often very slow for the modern audiences, which are used to a lot of editing. It's the audience that watches the film instead of the director dictating the reaction he wants from you. My films are comical films. They are made to laugh at. They are comical and scientifically correct. I've had a lot of aha moments, but the big aha about growing older is the mental freedom. In interviews, the first question I get in America is always, "What do you do to stay young?" I do nothing. I don't think aging is a problem. What irritates me a little is growing fatter. It irritates me that if I eat what I want to eat, it shows. I've always been interested in animal behavior, and I keep reading about it because it's so surprising. All the time so many things are happening around us that we neglect to look at. Part of the passion I have for biology is based on this wonderment. I live in New York, and the only live animals you see are cockroaches, rats and pigeons, which I admire immensely. When I see an animal that thrives in the garbage, I feel relief. In our urban environment, other animals are dying out. When I was young, it was difficult to imagine entering a world where my parents succeeded so much and I could have risked failing. It would have felt much harder. By the time I was successful with covers of Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and Vanity Fair and the Lancome contract, someone asked how old I was. They almost fainted when I said 33. There are consequences with age, so you have to evolve. I've loved becoming a filmmaker, but I would love to continue modeling, and there isn't really any job for me. It's being marginalized. That's the sad part. I don't look at Vogue to ask what I'm going to wear, because it's something on a body too young. I have to look at the social pages to see women my age, to see how Amanda Burton is dressed and say, maybe I should try that. That is the great pleasure of working with great directors. You get to look at the world through many different prisms. I guess I love talent, whatever form it takes. I think I was always interested in animals. If a man likes a woman, he might discuss business, but there's a part of his brain that is looking at the girl coming in and checking the girls. I do the same with animals. The problem with middle age, at least when it comes to modeling, is you seldom see a model who is past 27, 28. If they use anyone older, then it becomes automatically a personality story. If you see a person who's insecure and covers it up, it can be quite a problem. But the person who is insecure and shows you is quite appealing. They give you just the courage to drop your defenses. I didn't think I was going to be an actress. Everybody in my family was in films, and they succeeded so much I thought it's better for me to do something else, and they agreed. It took me a long time to be accepted as an actress, I think, because of the modeling and because of my mother. I live in the country. I'm a bird watcher, an oyster raiser. I'll do anything that raise dogs for. The Blind as a volunteer. When I was a teenager, I thought, maybe I'll be a filmmaker, making film documentaries. My dream when I was a girl was, I would be hired by National Geographic or work with David Attenborough. But it didn't happen. I became a model. I never really think about what I have to do to stick to my image. I just follow what I like to do. Sometimes it's glamorous, sometimes it's not. I'd like this to become my principal activity, to make films about animals. Of course, it's always interesting to model, but it depends who you are working with. I will continue to make acting too, but I'm old, I'm getting tired of it. If a hamster has too many babies, she knows she cannot carry. She not only abandons them, but she eats them. That means she doesn't have to go out and hunt for food for herself. The first time I went to Hollywood, I was 25 years old. My background was mostly Italian. Market research shows that older women like seeing older women in ads, and that younger women do too because they see them and are not frightened of growing older. To be an icon is a big job. It's beyond acting, and sometimes it pays, and sometimes it doesn't. Isabella Fiorella Elettra Giovanna Rossellini, born June 18, 1952, was born in Rome, was raised in Rome, as well as in Santa Marinella and Paris. The daughter of Swedish actress Ingrid Bergman, who was of Swedish and German descent, and Italian director Roberto Rossellini, who was born in Rome from a family originally from Pisa, Tuscany. She has 3 siblings from her mother, her fraternal twin sister Asada Ingrid Rossellini, who is an adjunct professor of Italian literature, a brother, Robertino Ingmar Rossellini, and a half-sister, Pia Lindström, who formerly worked on television and is from her mother's first marriage with Petter Lindström. She has 4 other siblings from her father's 2 other marriages, Romano, who died at age 9, Renzo, Gil, and Raffaella. Growing up, she received a liberal Catholic education. Isabella Rossellini is an Italian-American actress and model, the daughter of Swedish actress Ingrid Bergman and Italian film director Roberto Rossellini. She is noted for her successful tenure as a Lancome model and an established career in American cinema. She gained recognition as an actress after her breakthrough role in White Nights 1985 and again in David Lynch's Blue Velvet 1986, for which she received the Independent Spirit Award for Best Female Lead. Other notable films include Cousins 1989, Wild at Heart 1990, Death Becomes Her 1992, Fearless 1993, Wyatt Earp 1994, Big Night 1996, Roger Dodger 2002, Infamous 2006, Two Lovers 2008, Enemy 2013, Joy 2015, and La Chimera 2003. She is also known for her voice roles in Incredibles 2018 and Marcel the Shell with Shoes on 2021, and her role as General Malice in Human Resources 2023. Rossellini received a Golden Globe Award nomination for the HBO film Crime of the Century 1996. She received a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series nomination for Chicago Hope 1997. She also has guest starred in the sitcoms Friends and 30 Rock, as well as the dramas Alias and The Blacklist. She portrayed Simone Beck in the HBO series Julia 2002.